If I could call this meeting to order, Kathleen Allen, Ryan Chetney.
Here.
Tom Chapa.
Here.
Heather Del Conte. Here. Brandon Legault. Linda Serino. Samuel Tripp.
I'm here.
Roomba Kawaja. If you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda would be the Board of Education. It is item number 1, policies for the second and final reading. There is 12 policies listed below on the agenda. If I could have a motion.
Move it. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Buell?
Yes, I have a few things I want to talk about, but first, tonight we have some introductions. You'll remember that at our last meeting we introduced new middle school and high school faculty, and tonight we're going to ask the elementary principals to introduce their new staff. And we also have a few administrators that I'm going to ask Nancy and Carrie to introduce as well. So why don't we start with Donna?
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, we share Ryan Lavner, and he's our PE teacher, but I think he has a game tonight. So, but Ryan's right here from Oswego, and he graduated from SUNY Portland in 2018 with his degree in physical education. He teaches at, obviously, CER and FPS. This is his first year as a teacher, and his first year as a girls' JV basketball head coach. He enjoys playing and watching sports in his free time. He's really been a great addition, to the elementary level. So.
Great. Dr. Doty?
Oh.
I have the pleasure of introducing Maria Conaway. Maria says she's happy to be given the opportunity to be part of the Oswego City School District. She was born and raised in Oswego and is now raising her family here. She has 2 little boys who attend Riley School, and it just happens to be the same school that she went to when she was growing up. She graduated from SUNY Oswego with a master's in elementary education. Before becoming a teacher, she was a case manager for children with disabilities for over 10 years. And last year, she had the opportunity to be hired as a long-term substitute in 4th grade at Riley, and she just fell in love with teaching. And so she's thrilled to be offered a probationary position in teaching, and she wants to thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Sullivan.
I have the pleasure of introducing these 2 teachers. They're both excited to be here. This is Bridget Oyer, and she's Buck Blue through and through. She graduated from Oswego High School. She went to SUNY Oswego for her undergraduate, and she's currently working on a graduate degree at SUNY Oswego. So welcome,
Awesome.
Bridget. And we have a new 3rd grade teacher, and this is Bridget Pritchard. She's excited to be here, and we love having her in our school. Ashley, why did I say that? I don't even know. I get nervous when you say that. This is Miss Bridget. This is Ashley Pritchard. I'm never calling her anything else. Pritchard is from the hometown of Sterling. She got her undergraduate degree at SUNY Delhi, and she got her graduate degree at SUNY Oswego. So we are so happy to have Ashley here. Bridget and Ashley,
What do you do again?
Do you want to go first? Just spend time with my family. I have a 16-month-old, so I have a very full schedule. I like to travel and I like to go hiking.
Welcome.
Thank you.
At least we didn't ask Jenny to say kayak.
What, too soon?
It's hard when you're standing up there under pressure. What did I forget? Stephanie Griffin? Yeah, why don't, Carrie, why don't you jump ahead just for that one introduction?
Okay. Okay, Stephanie, step up, please. Or actually, Bridget.
That is my name.
I have the pleasure of introducing Stephanie. Stephanie is joining us from, she graduated from SUNY Oswego. She was a classroom teacher for 8 years and transitioned into being a math instructional coach, PK8, in Hannibal School District. Then she went on to become an assistant principal for 4 years and ended up staying at Hannibal for being an assistant principal. She has a background in training in trauma-sensitive classroom and restorative practices and letters and CKLA, and the list goes on and on. And she enjoys hiking, golf, and the outdoors. Stephanie.
And she had great graduate professors.
Right. I happen to be in this room. Well, thank you. I have 2 new staff members to introduce. Please. Our newest members at Layton Elementary, I'm going to start with Ms. Ashley Darling. She's our school psychologist. Her hometown is Buffalo, New York. Her education...
Go Bills.
She has a Bachelor of Arts in Human Development, her Master's and Certificate of Advanced Study in School Psychology, both from SUNY Oswego. Some of her experiences are interning in the Oswego City School District in the 17-18 school year at Riley Elementary and the Oswego High School. Some of her other work experiences are at Milestones and Little Loops as a school psychologist for preschool age students for both Oswego and Onondaga County. And she's also took part in something called mindfulness research, which I'm interested to hear more about. It was a pilot program from SU. So welcome, Ms. Ashley Darling. And our next newest staff member is Ms. Karen Schmidt. Karen is originally from Oneonta, New York. She received her bachelor's degree from St. Bonaventure University and her master's degree from SUNY Oswego. During her time at SUNY Oswego, she worked closely with some staff members from the Oswego High School, the Buck School, and Kingsford Park. These experiences in Oswego heavily influenced her desire to work in the Oswego City School District. And once she received her permanent certification in New York, while pursuing her certification, though, she worked as a counselor in the mountains of New Hampshire and Vermont. So that's exciting. Welcome.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Yes. Now Carrie has some additional introductions to do.
I am introducing Liz Eck. She is our family engagement and coordinator. It's a district position. She works with the 5 elementary positions. Liz was born and raised in Syracuse, New York. She completed her undergraduate degree in communication studies and creative writing at SUNY Oswego, and her master's degree is in social work at Syracuse University. As a licensed master social worker, her prior experience include working as a mental health clinician at Stepping Stones Day Treatment, an adjunct professor at SUNY Oswego, a behavior specialist in the Syracuse City School District, and a 7th, 8th, and 9th grade English teacher with Teach for America in Hartford, Connecticut. Wow. And she didn't tell me what she likes to do on her off time.
Hike with the dogs, cook, music.
Thank you.
So it is my pleasure to introduce Matt Guai. He's the new director of food service, and he's been with us since November the 21st, graduate of Paul Smith College. He has a bachelor's degree in hotel, restaurant, and tourism management. He's been working in all aspects of food service industry his entire professional career. His most recent position was banquet manager at the historic Hotel Syracuse, where he excelled in logistical planning, quality control, staff management, and cost control. He's thrilled about his new role that has brought him back to his hometown, and he's looking forward to getting our children excited about food and showing them that healthy eating can be appetizing.
What do you like to do on your free time, man?
I just find time with my dad.
You're a four kids are at.
You gotta think about doing something.
Clearly, you need a social
Our
life.
other perspectives, ideas, yeah.
Right. Thank you. This is, I think,
Yeah.
something we always enjoyed it every year. Some other things I wanted to point out. I wanted to thank Sam. We added Sam this year as a board liaison to our budget road trip. As most of you know, every year Nancy and I meet with all building principals, department heads, and we talk about the needs of their departments and schools, and we generate lists of things that are desirable for them to be considered for the next year's budget. And this year we asked for a board member, and Sam, I think, got a good education about that process.
If I can say a few words about that?
Yeah.
It was a brand new experience for me as a board member for many years. I mean, we sit there and the administration puts together a budget, brings it to us, but sitting there and listening to each principal and administrator coming forth with the needs for how to run the needs that they need to put together to run their department, it was a real eye-opener for me, and I would encourage boards going forward to continue to do that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be one board member to do all departments. I mean, switch it around, mix it up, give everybody a flair for it.
He's saying that there's a lot of meetings.
That was a
and
lot.
a lot of time.
Yeah, but I was happy to do it. It really was an educational experience for me.
Appreciate it
So
very
thank
much,
you for the
Sam.
opportunity.
Thank you. And that kind of leads to the next question is, after we conduct those meetings, then Nancy and I really dig into a couple different things. What are our anticipated revenues, which is always the big question, and what are our expenditures in the three budget areas that we focus on each year. And just a couple things that I think are important to point out, because there seems to be a misunderstanding across New York State, and certainly our district is no different. The governor's budget, the governor's original initial runs for school aid are very misleading. It's a very complex quagmire of formulas that he put together, and it leaves us believing, in most cases, that we're getting a significant increase in our state aid, particularly foundation aid. And so we've had a lot of inquiries about, wow, what are you going to do with the additional $6 million in state aid? Well, that's not the case, because what the governor has done, and we'll articulate this in greater detail, but some of the set-aside aid lines that have been that are typically in the state budget have now been lumped into our foundation aid. So that increase in $6 million is not an accurate number. We typically don't build our revenue portion of the budget in completely until we receive the legislative runs, which historically give us a little bit more money than the governor. We feel pretty good about the increase in foundation aid after Nancy really extrapolated all of the pieces and parts that have been lumped in. But I just wanted to be on record as saying that the state aid run that was put out by the governor is not what it appears, and we really need to dig in much greater detail. So the next step, of course, is the creation of our budget presentations, and you'll start to be hearing those in the coming board meetings, and that will lead us right up to the legislative run, and then the final budget that's brought to the board, and then they take a whack at it, and then we settle on the final budget that we put forth to the voters. The other thing that I wanted to give a shout out to the Scholastic Art Awards. There's been a lot of buzz this week about that, and congratulations go to our great art staff as well as our student artists. Also, we're enhancing the link on the district webpage about the capital project. There's a new message that will be going up. I don't think it has. Is Jamie here?
No.
I sent the message to Jamie. It'll be updated tomorrow, and there will be a capital project phase 2 presentation at the next board meeting. The capital project is really starting to get exciting because phase 2, as you know, is expected to break ground in the spring. And the way the weather's been, it might be sooner than we thought. But I think what's exciting about phase 2 of the capital project is it's very visible. It's going to be hard to be around the main campus of the school district and not notice what's going on. But what you see on the outside is really not the most important part. The most important part of the capital project in phase 2 and all the other phases is the work that's happening inside the buildings around health and safety for students, carbon monoxide detectors, drinkable water systems, increased safety around classroom doors and glass, asbestos removal, things like that. But the shiny part that sparkles, you're going to be seeing as well, that's the multi-purpose field as part of phase 2, the reconstruction of the Wilbur Field complex into 2 practice fields, significant work at Layton Elementary School, not only in the main lobby, but athletic in the Jen Cahill wing. We'll be putting you out of there soon.
I'm not there. Come visit me at my new place.
I will. You got moved?
I did.
Okay, good.
I thought you were going to name the wing after me.
We should after all our years
I'll
of
go
service. And then additionally, on the other side of Buck Boulevard, in addition to the multi-purpose field, is the complete renovation of the theater entrance and main lobby, as well as a total renovation of the performing arts wing, adjoining athletic corridor, and all of the work that I described as being done in Layton will be done in all the schools around drinking water, carbon monoxide, asbestos, doors, locking systems on doors, classroom doors and glass, things like that that are safe. Heating, HVAC at the middle school, which is part of this phase. So things are really starting to happen.
But you said there's going to be a presentation on it at the next meeting?
Yeah, I think I just did it, but we'll do it again.
No, that's good, that's good. And maybe, because we had a speaker last time speak about
Yes.
wanting to know a little bit more about the scheduling and that
Exactly.
kind of a thing, so I
Yeah.
imagine that'll come out.
That's one of the reasons why we took, we already have we had a capital project tab already on the website under district news.
Okay.
And we're bringing it more to the forefront to really communicate better. There's significant information on the website under the capital project tab relative to all the work that's being done in each phase and each building. But this is a good way to get that out.
Well, that's one way, and they didn't come to us, but the Facebook approach, we'll be utilizing that, so we're pushing
Yes.
the
Yep.
communication
Yeah,
that way
I
as
meet
well.
with Rebecca on Thursday.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, great.
There's also, speaking of Rebecca, we're creating an informational brochure for the district that highlights all the exciting things that happen instructionally across our district, as well as some other points of pride for our district. And it will be a bifold brochure that we've actually been talking about and working on for about 6 months, and that should be coming in the spring as well. Friday is Staff Development Day, and board members will see that in your places there are handouts for not only our elementary program for that day, but also our secondary program. Things that are happening, and you'll see there's significant emphasis on trauma-informed learning environments and other district initiatives that are reflective of our long-range educational plan, as well as the goals of the board and the superintendent. And the last thing I wanted to really point out is that I'm spending significant time at Oswego High School this year. Middle school and high school, but more high school. And one of the things that you'll be hearing about, and parents, community members, staff members, and students will be receiving letters of invitation over the next few weeks, inviting them to participate in a focus group. And that will be held with me. Those focus groups are being designed around the DTSDE rubric, which is really modeled after the review of the district and the Oswego High School in 2014 when we were in accountability. And it's an opportunity for parents, students, and staff members in a confidential way to share their feelings about the programming at the high school and other things related to the high school. This is non-evaluative, it's information only, and it's by, we're casting a wide net and hoping to capture 10 to 20 participants in each focus group. So that will be, the results of those conversations will come to the board later in the year. I probably should say one more thing relative to the capital project, and I told the architects and the engineers that I would do this at a recent capital project meeting. And we want to send this message to administrators. In fact, I did share it in the last principals meeting or admin council meeting, that a project like this is disruptive. And it's very much like a major renovation in your home. You have to put up with the mess in order to get to the final result, which is significant increase in teaching and learning spaces for our kids and staff. So we have to be patient. We have to expect to be inconvenienced. Buck Boulevard is going to look like a mess for a good 6 months to a year. And people have to be adaptable and flexible and patient and excited about the progress that we're making because it's going to be disruptive. So, that's it.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda with 2 items. 1, minutes of the regular board meeting of January 21st, 2020, and the Special Education Board report on February 4th, 2020. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is personnel with Heidi Sweeney.
Number 1, professional staff recommendation, resignation, Stacy Clark, effective 2/10. 2, extra comp at the Ed Center. We're adding another in-service instructor as we often do throughout the year, as needed. 3, extra compensatory position recommendations for unified sports for bowling, which is coming up soon. 4, extra compensatory position recommendation for 2 more spring sports, softball and modified baseball. And 5, extra compensatory OHS sports for Alex UI boys varsity track and field. So that's the professional 1 through 5.
Items 1 through 5, if I could have a motion.
I'll move.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
6, support staff recommendation, resignation, Lisa McMahon. We just approved her to be the new cook at Riley, so now she's resigning her previous position. 7, support staff recommendation, leaves of absence, serving in second title areas. 8, support staff recommendation, probationary appointments. 9, support staff recommendation.
Dr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Can you step?
Of course I can, yes.
Please.
Yep, so 5 through 8.
6 through 8.
Sorry, 6 through 8.
It's okay. 6 through 8, if I could have a motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So 9 separate. Support staff recommendation, provisional, Carrie Tripp, senior typist at the Ed Center.
Item 9, motion, please. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, or,
I'll abstain.
thank you. And opposed?
Okay, 10, support staff recommendation, permanent appointment for Bill Raymond, and 11, our substitute and temporary employees.
Items 10 and 11, motion.
Move.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is finance with Nancy Squires.
Number 1 is a contract with Construction Associates, our contract manager for our capital project, in the amount of $738,464 for the Phase 2 construction.
Motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
2 is for the board to approve a CBIZ contract for our capital asset reporting and insurance update for our audit.
Motion?
Move it.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
3 is for the board to approve the MOA with the Board of Elections for our school district election, which is May 19, 2020.
Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Move it.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
4 is for the board to approve a budget transfer from contractual to supplies. We're not doing the Read 180 system, so there's some money that can be used in that line.
Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Sorry.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And 5 is a donation of Chromebooks for Michaela Curran's class at Layton. And 6 is a field trip grant from Target, also for Layton,
Which Jamie Tutora.
Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, did you find out, because in committee, we didn't have the information on those?
Yes, Jamie Tutoro is taking her class to Destiny Mall to the.
Five Wits.
The one where you have to problem solve your way out.
Fun for them.
Yeah, so she needed bus money and some admission.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next on the agenda is items from the board. Does the board have any items tonight?
I do, just one thing. For the last couple of years, I served on the wellness committee with Dr. Walton, and I was unable to make the last few meetings. I kind of pushed to the edge, so I'm going to resign from that committee, and I would ask Heather to appoint someone to take my place.
Is there anyone?
It's not a lot of time commitment. It's usually late in the year, and it's maybe 3 or 4 meetings at the most. And she holds them like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so anybody that's working could make the meeting.
Okay. Great. So we won't put anyone on the spot now, but I'll reach out via
Yeah,
email and
I
see if
just
we have a
wanna put you
volunteer,
on
and if
notice.
not, I'll take it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Anyone else before a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank Minetto and Oswego Middle School. We attended assemblies at both. Sam and I attended Minetto, and that was a really nice assembly for those kids to be able to see Mr. Connors and understand all of the adversity he's overcome over time. And then middle school, they got to see a Hall of Famer virtually, like through
Like a virtual field trip.
Yeah, it was really cool for them. And although we didn't get to ask our question, it was awfully inspiring as well. And for me, it was just nice to be in the buildings, and I always like to see the faculty interacting with the students, and I'm always so impressed. And the other thing is, Tom is going to be going next Monday to Lobby Day. Do you want to speak to that?
Well, Sunday and Monday, it's a NISPA convention down in Albany, and Sunday are a bunch of meetings, but on Monday are the opportunity to meet with legislators about it, about the needs from up here. And we've spoken about it and about the need for us to be more involved politically and just to have our voices heard downstate, particularly when we talk about the new run in education and the formula which has not been enacted, and how we're lacking in terms of our true representation of the aid that we should be getting. So I'm going to go down and see what I can learn from that, if anybody else wants to go. But it's Sunday, I think it starts at 11 o'clock, goes through, and then Monday morning and the days to make the appointments with legislators. So.
And if anyone was interested, they could go probably just Monday if they wanted to.
Yeah, walk-ins it does say on there, walk-ins are welcome to go, so.
Tom, we had talked about the nuclear reserve that we wanted to set up, and we were going to go and lobby for that. Is that?
Yes, and we talked about
They were going to, Joe Shields was going to send us some information.
He was going to give us a.
Yeah.
You do have it.
Do we have
We
it?
do have it.
Great.
Okay, good,
Yeah,
so we
because,
can have that ready.
I mean, that's one thing that people should know, I think, relative to the nuclear, I think, if it's all right, relative to a nuclear reserve, is that we don't have one in here, in Oswego, though we have 3 nuclear power plants, and we haven't been able to because the law basically says you can only enact one if you have an increasing pilot, which we have not had. It's either been stable or decreasing. So we need to get that terminology changed so we can start putting money aside for the anticipation when a nuke eventually closes. I know Gannett is in the process of doing that, and we know it'll be on the horizon for us, so we need to start saving money for that. So it's one of those things, again, we need to impress upon them, and any help we can get in changing that, the terminology in that legislation will help us.
Nancy, could you get that to all of us? Because I think we also
Absolutely.
wanted to use the same verbiage to have a memorializing resolution done at the county level if we could.
Absolutely.
They're open to it.
Could I have that as well? Because I'll be traveling to Albany to also meet with legislators March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, representing our district, but also NICET. So any information that you can share budget-wise to kind of send that message. I know Patty Ritchie and also Will Barkley have been very gracious and generous to us in the past, and we'd like that to continue.
And then the only other thing involves Tom as well. Didn't know if you put any thought into the community committee.
Yeah.
And and if not, that's fine. But
No,
I put you on the spot.
Well, I mean, I do. I have some certain ideas about, part of it is community relations right here, talking about this particular issue, and then reaching out to other entities within the community who also can then realize that we're an integral pillar within the community relative to healthcare and the college and to the businesses and everything, and that we need to really be pulling together, and particularly on issues like this, because they look to us, to be vibrant within the community, and we need the aid in order to make that happen. So this would be a perfect opportunity to reach out on a common goal and reach out to them. But I mean, I'd like to have someone else with me, and I'd like the board to determine what this should be. I don't want it to, I don't want to just grab it and run with it. Again, this is like the opportunity we had before with the capital project and communicating with the community, but I think it can be more than that. But I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks.
Well, one of the things that we were wondering was, and you were going to think about, was the potential of being the lead person
chair,
from
right.
the board.
Mhm.
And I guess if we're thinking more of Linda's concept, where it would be a topical committee, content-based committee, where the structure or the who serves on the committee would change based on what it is we're talking about or what we need assistance from the community with. I suppose we could share that role. But if it's going to be one committee that's kind of, the same people throughout the year, then we probably need one person leading it, just for consistency, so.
Thank you, that was nice of you.
Tom, do you have like a mission statement for the committee that you're envisioning? Or?
Well, originally, in the past, it was just to communicate and engage with members of the community and to foster a dialogue within the community. And the short site, that's what it was. Again, we never got to that point because we worked on the capital project, and then we kind of fizzled a little bit after that. But, so that will be my goal, is just to reestablish and open those lines of communication. And so when we need to, in situations like this, be able to say, here's an issue, can you help us with this? Here's, these are issues that we need. And what do you see also relative to us in the community? But, I mean, there's two different approaches, I think. One was, originally we thought about it, are we engaging everybody and from every vantage point within the community? And I think that's one way the committee can work, and that we're opening up and we meet quarterly and we have that. I think there's another level where it can work, which is more issue-based. So I think we could have two roles. But again, I would like to know what everyone else thinks about it. Okay. Well, I guess that's
For that's a discussion ever.
I see, excuse me, I can see a lot of positive, that can come out of this. I think it would be a great tool for the school board to use to get ideas and suggestions to them that would come from the community. I don't know what you need from me, but I'm supportive. Other than,
I mean, I don't want it to supersede the open forum here when people come here, and I don't want it to be.
But Tom, if you had a committee, you'd be drawing a different group of people than what we have here. I mean, here we have, usually it's mostly staff, students. We don't get a lot of people from outside in the outer limits of the community, or if you had your committee that you're talking about would represent all those people, it would be more informational, I would think, to us. I mean, that's what I look at it. Is that is my thinking right or no?
No, I think that was definitely one concept, and then the Linda's concept was more, it's budget season. Let's get folks who might be able to help us. Make sure we get as much information out there as possible. So we'll have a committee for that. But then, let's say further down the road, we need help. Lobbying folks. Legislators. So then we would have a different group of people who might have expertise in that area, which I think would be valuable, but might be more difficult to manage. Especially for one person, I think.
Right.
because every time you're trying to, you know, put together another committee,
Right.
basically.
I think that could be challenging,
It
yes.
could be challenging.
How's it gonna be one person if it's an entire committee? I mean,
No, a lead person, the lead person who's responsible for, you
well,
know.
the last time was co-chairs, so wouldn't it be co-chairs again? Split it up? We gotta have this one.
Are you volunteering,
Yeah, you and
Sam?
Tom.
There you
Sam.
volunteered. Oh my goodness. Yes, that is how it's gonna
I
happen.
think Tom told me it was co-chairs, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we could do that, because I think Linda did express interest as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
All right.
Okay. And she's not here, so.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect.
All in favor? That was very nice of you, Linda. She was very quiet, but enthusiastic.
Okay, and the only reason I bring it up is because I do have people asking me, is that something that
Yes.
we're doing, is it something we're supporting, and,
Right.
so I think as long as there's a clear mission statement and
Right,
we know
yeah,
what
that's, I mean, that's my,
purpose is.
my input is that I think the mission statement should be very clear on what it is so that it doesn't, you know, kind of mentally replace what we're elected to do.
Right, and I don't want it to be that. I don't want it to be
Because we
something.
are
that-
supposed to be engaging with the community and have the pulse and, you know, so I don't want to see redundancies. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I, like I said before, one of the, you know, as I looked around at different districts and what they were doing with community relations, it was trying to engage the public and get more people to the meetings, so they were having, you know, the jazz band play, or, you know, choirs play, or just some type of event to foster community engagement. But let's give it a try, you know, and put it out there. I'll put a mission statement together, and the next time we come in, I think go to the next level, and then start to set up dates and see what kind of engagement we get.
And the committee members have to be approved by the board
Yes.
as
Yes.
per
Yep.
policy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a small town like Oswego, the best means of communication is the word. People talking. I see something, I'm going to tell somebody who's going to tell 3 or 4 more people. And if you get, there's a lot of great things happening in our schools. Our students are doing wonderful things. The word isn't out there. We try. We had PR people and we talk it up. But
Well,
the more
that's-
people that'll talk about those good things,
Yeah.
the more the community will know.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's where my tax dollar went. I'm glad it happened.
But you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that too, and one of the entities, like I said, is Oswego Health, and I happened to have lunch with Michael Harlovick and it was and Jeff Coakley, and we were talking. We started about my mom's health care because I wanted to give them feedback, and it ended up too. We talked about the district, and that was a perfect opportunity to be able to take all those that positive information, give it to them, and let them utilize it as well. Because you're right, it's much easier to get the negative information than it is the positive. So if we can institute that, I think that would be great.
Well, I appreciate all the mental energy you put forth to try and reinstate this or think it through.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Any other items from the board?
I just wanted to say, I went to the Garrett Dunsmore Crow's Nest experience over there, and it was really great to be. I haven't been to a lot of games, and you know, like Sam, and a lot of people have been to many more than I have, but it was great to see that enthusiasm. It was great to see the support for that, and I hope it continues. That it was real. It was a very nice moment.
And actually, along those same lines, I went to the girls' sectionals for bowling. Wow. I have never been in such a packed bowling alley in my entire life, and that was some seriously intense bowling. Wow, the Flamingo in Liverpool, and there was so much energy, and it was just so exciting for our girls to be there and to participate, and we ended up taking home 10th, I believe, but they did a really good job, and I was proud to have us there.
Next on the agenda is the executive session. Will there be a need for an executive session?
Yes.
The reason?
Negotiations?
Could I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Would there be a need for a vote after executive session?
No.
You may, all in favor?
Aye.
Where are we? Thank you. You may move to executive.
I didn't think I was that important.